Good morning, everybody. My name is Karla, and you've reached my FlossTube channel, KarlaBeingCrafty, where I talk about cross-stitch and crochet, and now knitting, machine knitting, and also other crafts that I enjoy occasionally, and a little bit of life thrown in. So today is FlossTube number 292. It is Sunday, July 27th, so the last FlossTube of July. That also means that my birthday is in 3 weeks and I'm going to be 60 years old, which just seems very, very weird. My mental age is like 12. My body age sometimes feels like it's 182, but I'm going to be 60. So anyway, I guess that's something to look forward to, right? I want to say welcome. If this is your first time finding my channel, then thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you like what you see. You want to hit like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. And if you are not new to my channel, if you are one of the people that comes back every week and watches me, thank you so much for coming and sharing this time with me and following me on my journey of trying out new crafts and getting excited about new things. And yeah, so I think I kind of have a lot to show you this week. And I do have some, like life stuff to discuss with you a little bit, just so you kind of know what's been going on with me lately. So it's still been really crazy at work. That seems to be just a given right now. But the stuff that has been happening this week has to do with health issues. So it's been kind of an interesting week. I've discussed a little bit on this channel that I have type 2 diabetes that's managed with medication and insulin. And it's managed pretty well. My A1Cs are not bad. But I had a doctor's appointment on Wednesday, and they've crept up a little bit. And the thing is, and I discussed this with my doctor, and I actually discussed it with my boss's wife, is a retired pediatric endocrinologist. She actually is a little bit more knowledgeable even than like a family practitioner like I go to see. So when I was first diagnosed about 5 years ago, and I went on insulin, my body responded to it really well. And it brought everything down to where it was supposed to be very quickly, and everything was great. And I had a low blood sugar incident, I don't know, 6 months to a year after I started, which is a very scary thing, waking up in the middle of the night. And if you've never had a low blood sugar, I mean, first of all, your mind is altered. You wake up, you feel like you're gonna die. You feel like all you can think about is, I don't know, you want to eat everything in the house. It takes a while to mentally realize, oh, I need to take my blood sugar, figure out what's wrong. You realize that you're having low blood sugar and you manage it, right? So that happened maybe a year after, 6 months to a year. And then it happened again in the middle of the night, maybe another 6 months later, a year later, whatever. I've only ever had one low blood sugar incident when I was awake. It was after I moved here on a Sunday. But as I said, I was diagnosed 5 years ago, and I had a couple incidents for the first couple years, whatever. But in the last 6-7 months, basically since I moved to Long Beach, which I think is a coincidence, but mentally that's how I know how long it's been. I've had a middle of the night low blood sugar incidents once a month at least, and sometimes more than that. So I was discussing that with Leslie, with my boss's wife, and telling her what was going on and everything. And this happened Sunday night, this past Sunday night. I woke up in the middle of the night and was low, very low, and took the glucose tabs I was supposed to take. And, and then when I woke up in the morning, of course, my blood sugar was high and I couldn't get down all day. I felt lousy. I stayed home from work. Because that's one of the things when you have this low blood sugar in the middle of the night, for me, you're high the next day, and it's very hard to manage, because it's like if you're low, you can take sugar to get it high. But when you're high, you know, I'm not on fast-acting insulin. I'm not a type 1 diabetic. There's nothing you can really do to get your blood sugar down except drink water and maybe jump around. And when you don't feel well, I'm not going to jump around, you know, and exercise and whatever to get my blood sugar down. So it's really hard, and you feel kind of lousy for like a day or more. And what Leslie said, she asked me what kind of insulin I was taking, and I was taking, I don't know what it's called. It's a Humulin H something. And it's an intermediary insulin. And the thing is she said that she always hated to prescribe that kind because specifically for this reason, because it has peaks. It can cause low blood sugar in the middle of the night. It's called nighttime hypodrops. And then you rebound in the morning and you go too high. And that obviously has been happening to me. And I think it's been happening even when I don't wake up. I think I'm going low and then rebounding because when my morning blood sugars are too high after fasting, and there's no reason for it, that's the reason. It's because my body is pumping out sugar because my blood sugar is too low. I mean, that's what the pancreas does, right? It tries to regulate, and if you have well, type 1 diabetes, your pancreas doesn't work at all. But type 2 diabetes, it works, but it doesn't work correctly. So she said that she would recommend, and I should discuss it with my doctor, to go on what's called Lantus or Glargine, I think. Or it's insulin as well, but it's a long-acting insulin instead of an intermediary-acting insulin, and you only have to take it once a day. And it's supposed to like even out everything, and so that you don't have those highs and lows, and won't have the drops in the middle of the night, which I think is my major problem. I also think it's part of what is contributing to me not getting really good sleep, which of course, when you don't get good sleep, that affects your blood sugar too. It affects everything, right? So I discussed it with my doctor and she agreed, and so I changed my insulin on Wednesday. And I'm also trying to be very aware. Like when I first was diagnosed, I was very good about what I was eating. I was very low carb and, you know, high protein, and stayed away from, you know, the refined, you know, pasta and bread and stuff like that. But of course, over the years, I've gotten bad to where I'm, eating cupcakes and eating candy and eating things that are really, really not good for me. So I kind of this week, at least for a while, I'm on a renewed campaign to eat better and monitor myself. And of course, because this is a new medication that I'm on, I'm also trying to be hyper vigilant about testing my blood and seeing, you know, if I'm staying at a steady thing. I have a phone appointment with a diabetes management doctor or nurse or specialist, something, the beginning of September, and my doctor said I should go get another A1C test like a couple days before. So we'll see. Hopefully my A1C will have come down a little bit, which means that the new insulin is working the way it's supposed to. And in the meantime, I'm trying to be, you know, a little bit more vigilant about the way I eat. I went out and I got a bunch of snacks that are diabetic friendly. I got, you know, little olive packets because I love olives, and they're actually a really good snack for diabetics. I got some little beef sticks. I got some like cheese crispy things that are kind of like crackers, but they're just cheese. Some chickpea, you know, roasted chickpea things. So trying to get a bunch of snacks that are high protein, which also is good, like if I'm feeling like a little bit hungry, so I don't go eat something that I shouldn't eat. And then the other thing that I decided to do, because I have been eating ice cream lately because I've just been craving ice cream, and I don't want to give it up, but I do really like the Premier protein shakes. I use those a lot. It's a breakfast or a snack. And they're like 30 grams of protein and like something like 2 or 3 carbs. They're good, and my body likes them. But I got a little popsicle mold and took 1 bottle of the Premier protein. There's like 6 holes in this, and it's a silicone mold. I've had popsicle molds before and they're a pain and you can't get the thing out, and this is silicone, so you can kind of pop it out really easy. And I took 1 bottle of Premier protein shake. I mixed in 2 2 tablespoons of pudding, you know, instant pudding. Well, actually the one I used wasn't instant, but sugar-free pudding mix, and mix that in to make it a little creamier. And 1 bottle filled up 5 of the holes. And they taste like a fudgesicle. I used a chocolate peanut butter premier protein shake, and they taste really good. And you know, I know that they're good for me. You know, there's 5, and let's see, there's 30 grams of protein in the thing. So what? That's 6, yeah. 6 grams of protein in each one of those things, and like almost 0 carbs, and they're satisfying, and you know, I feel like I'm getting a treat. So I think that that's something that I'm going to keep experimenting with, and keep popsicles in the freezer for treats at night or whenever. And if I'm making them myself like that, I know that they're good. And I'm going to try it again, the same thing, but I'm going to add in some like crushed up strawberries, you know, because berries are low glycemic index. And I think if I put in some crushed up strawberries, then I can stretch it out to the 6 1 bottle. So anyway, that's what's kind of been going on with my health this week. So it's been, as I said, I started Sunday, you know, from Sunday night to Monday, I felt really lousy, had that really kind of bad experience. And then Wednesday went to the doctor, which is a little stressful, and I did everything. I got the eye test that you need, foot test. I also got a mammogram. It was like a full doctor visit afternoon. But I started on the new medication, and it seems to be working pretty well. I went out to a birthday dinner last night for my friend Lisa's birthday, and we went to an Italian restaurant, and I was very good. I was proud of myself because I did not get pasta. I was thinking like, okay, well, you know, normally I think I would, but now because I'm in this first week and I'm trying to be really good, I didn't want to get a lot of, you know, carbs. They had whole wheat pasta that I could have gotten, but I still felt like I'm going to be eating too much of that. So I got a dinner salad, and I did have a couple of very small pieces of garlic bread, and I got some seafood stuffed mushrooms. So I know there were crumbs in the mushrooms, but still it was mostly seafood and mushroom. And they were really good. And I felt like I was being a good, you know, healthy eater. And I got home when I took my blood sugar last night. It was good for, you know, a couple hours after dinner. And yeah, I felt like I did a really good job. So anyway, that's where I am health-wise. And, you know, fingers crossed everything stays good with, you know, this new medication, and maybe my blood sugar, my A1Cs will come down a little bit, and that will be really healthy for me. So that's where I am. Now, as I said, Monday I was home, not feeling great, but I was home, so I actually got quite a bit of stuff done that day. So let's get into what I worked on, show you that, and yeah. I only worked on one cross stitch this week. You know, obviously you guys have seen that at least this last couple weeks, my crafting time is trending a little bit more towards yarn and crochet than cross stitch. I still love cross stitch, and I'm sure I'm going to get to a point where I'm more obsessed with it than the yarn, but right now it is what it is. And I haven't been feeling super great at night, and it just is a little bit easier, I don't know why, on my brain to do the crochet. But I did work on my Lina Ova Mermaid, which is this lovely pattern, and I'm just doing this half, and I'm doing it all in silks. And this week, I worked some more on like border stuff, which maybe is not as exciting as far as seeing growth of the pattern, but it needs to get done. And you know, so here we go. And I worked on the border over here. I got another one of the scallops done, well, and a little bit more. And then I worked on that. I put that little green medallion in. And I just have to say, I just love the way this looks. This is a Dying for Cross Stitch fabric. It's called Multicolor. I don't know if I got it on sale or, you know, it's just kind of I think it was like an impulse purchase. And when I was looking for fabric for this chart, after I decided to do all the silks and everything, it jumped out at me. And I just honestly really love the way it works. I love the fact that the silks kind of in some places blend into the color. It gives me a very, very underwater, oceany, mermaid feel. And I just think this, when I get this done, this is just gonna be gorgeous. So I am very happy with it. Now, I have to show you my project back here, which, do you see how this is all, that is Kitten. She loves sitting on my project bags. And this one was on top of my little basket that I have by my bed. And she was laying on it, and then she like pushed it off, and then she was like pushing it all over the room. Yeah, I found it over in the corner of the room. So I don't know, this is almost destroyed, I think, from my kitten, but at least she didn't do anything to anything on the inside. She doesn't care about the inside. She just wants to sit on the project bag. Okay, so that was the cross stitch that I worked on this week. And then, do not want to lose the chart. Okay, so then I worked on the 3 crochet tops that I kind of have going. First is my raglan, and I am almost, that was smart, I stick my hook in here. I'm almost done with this second cake of yarn. And then when I go to the third cake, I'm going to change the stitch. But this is where I'm at with it. So, and I have been decreasing like quite a bit every row to try and get it to where it's a little bit, you know, where the back and the front are even again. Yeah, so next one I don't know if I'm going to do the increases that I did on here. You know, I think it was one of those trust the process things and I didn't. But we'll see, you know, as we get a little bit further along. Although I don't mind the blousiness of it, I just don't want it to end up looking like too maternity-ish. So yeah, so I've been doing the decreases, and the decreases look okay for the most part. I don't think anybody's going to get up and inspect it the way I do. I only have a couple spots where it seems really obvious to me that I did a decrease, but regardless, I am enjoying it, and I definitely will do more of this style once I get this done. This one is very easy for me to like work on, like after I'm kind of like in bed and you know, not quite ready to go to sleep, watching TV, whatever, to just pull it out and do a row or two. So, but I'm excited to get through the first or the second cake of yarn and get onto the third one and see what it looks like to have sort of a different stitch that I think is going to look kind of lacy, and I think it's going to look cool. I mean, it'll be the same colors and everything, but just a slightly different look. Okay, and then I worked on the other 2 tops that I started with the Cron Blossom cakes. So this is the summer mesh top, and just work some more of the mesh. So, you know, this is gonna take a while. It's not super fast to stitch up, but it is really pretty. And then on my Granny Bell top, I finished the second triangle. So I've got the two front panels, basically. Oh, there's two. My two panels. And then I started the back panel, which is just going to be a big giant granny square. And then when I get done with that, then I can put these together and start working on the sleeves, which are bell sleeves. So I think that's going to look pretty cool. Okay, so that was all of my regular crochet that I worked on this week. And then we get to the new toy, the knitting machine, which I've had some fun with. First of all, today, like 10 minutes before I turned on the camera, I broke my tension piece. I'm not surprised. I knew that I would break these. They're very easy to get on Amazon. I've already ordered two to be delivered tomorrow. Because it sticks out, like this piece sticks out, and you know, I have it kind of in a narrow area right here. Like it's right here. And this piece sticks out, and I hit it with my leg, trying to go past it, and yeah, it broke. So, and really you need it. I need it, definitely. So I wasn't really surprised that I broke this. In fact, when I first got the machine and opened it, I looked up the parts because I'm like, I'm gonna break that a little bit. And I did. So I might just, you know, I got two, a little package of two. And once I make sure that they are exactly the same, I might just get a bunch and just keep them in stock, because that would be really annoying to break this while you're in the middle of a project. I have, you know, noticed like with the knitting machine, like it's more of a project for me. Like I was using it all day yesterday, but I kind of pulled it out and I put it on, I got this stuff, this rubbery like shelf liner, rug liner stuff to put on the floor, to put my little stool on, so it doesn't, like the stool doesn't move around so much. The Sentro is actually stuck to the stool perfectly. A lot of people said they don't like the little suction cups and they're bad, but it works for me. And I did, as I talked about last week, I like it on the lower stool because I like to be able to see the top of it. It's a little bit harder on my back that way, but it works better for me than having it up higher. But anyway, this broke just like 10 minutes ago, and you know, so I ordered some new ones. But okay, so couple things that I've learned. First of all, I think I cracked the code on the panel stitching, which I'll show you in just a minute or two. I did learn that one of the most important things in my setup when I'm doing this kind of machine knitting is I must have a little basket of cat toys at my feet as well as the yarn, so that when she comes and decides she wants to attack the working yarn, that I have something to distract her with. Normally she's really good, but every so often she'll decide, oh, that yarn is moving, let's bite it, and you know, that's no good. So anyway, so I did learn that is definitely a requirement of working with the Sentro and owning a kitten named Delilah. So that's part of it. Hold on just a second. I hit the wrong button. I'm gonna have to put two pieces together. I heard noises out in the living room, and just wanted to make sure the cat was okay. She is. She's fine. I called her, she came, and she's like, what do you want from me? Okay, so Yeah, so having a cat distraction is really important. It's important to use the tensioner. I like having the yarn on the floor. It works better that it's pulling straight up. I also found that it works way better in a cake, which haul-wise, I got this little yarn winder, an inexpensive one. This one was like $14. Very inexpensive, completely hand crank. It doesn't make the hugest balls, but let's see if I have one in here that I made. Yeah. So it makes cakes about this big. So, you know, I showed you last week the panel that I did that was all messed up. I pulled that apart and I made 3 of these out of that, you know, out of one normal size cake. Made 3 little cakes, but it's fine because you can put them together. All right, so I did 3 things on the Sentro this week. One, oh no. One, I'm just screwing up. Oh, shoot. I just wanted to do this. I thought it would be cute to see if I could do just a little ball pillow with a little tube, but I didn't know that the yarn that I had was going to do this. This, I think, was the Michaels Loops and Threads. It was like a, you know, a rainbow yarn, but look what it did when I did it in the tube. It did a swirl. I mean, I'm assuming when they designed the yarn, they designed it to do that, but it just, I was kind of blown away. And I just think it's cute. I mean, I just stuffed it with some stuffing and, you know, I just put it on my bed. It's just a pillow, and, you know, and it does get kind of wobbly and out of shape, but, you know, it's just kind of fun. It's kind of fun. I'm sure if you had kids, they would love this, you know, because it's kind of, you can make a little soccer ball pillow. So I did that last weekend just to play around with the machine. And I actually really love this pillow. And just the way the yarn swirled, yeah. I just thought that was really cool. You know, I did nothing except stick the yarn on the machine and crank it out. And this was all the yarn. The yarn did this on its own. So I find that pretty cool. Okay. Then I shouldn't say the second thing because this was actually the last thing I did yesterday. I've been talking about that I wanted to make a hat for my brother. I got some really thick, some Lion Brand Thick and Quick yarn in a really pretty cranberry color to possibly crochet. But then I was like, well, you know, the knitting machines are kind of like famous for making this double wall beanie thing. And I had some yarn on my yarn shelf or shelves that I had used when I made Lorraine's basket that was all red and black and pink colors. And this was a Lion Brand Scarfy yarn that is acrylic and wool. And it was, the colorway that I had was like a cranberry and black, and really, really pretty yarn. And I looked at the skein, and I still had the ball band on it, and it said that it was a 5 bulky. Now you're not supposed to use bulky yarn in the Sentro, like it's not supposed to work. But I looked at the yarn, and you know, a lot of times yarn that's a little bit fuzzier will get a higher rating or whatever. It didn't look like it was much bigger than a 4 to me, but it was a little fuzzy. So I decided to try it and go slow, and if it like caught up or, you know, looked like it was being difficult, I'd pull it off, and because I didn't want to mess up the machine. But it worked like a dream, and I was able to make this beanie for my brother. And you know, I mean, it's just a beanie. It's not like it's, you know, it didn't require the skill of a master craftsman, but I'm still really pretty pleased with it. And I think the yarn just looks really great. And I mean, because it's a double wall beanie, right? You can turn it inside out. So this is this way with a lot of, you know, this red brim and then a little bit of the variegated up here and then black in the middle. Or if you turn it the other way, then it's maybe a little bit darker with the black at the top and then kind of variegated in the middle. I like it with more of the red showing, but you know, it will be user's choice, wearer's choice. So I like that I was able to make a beanie for my brother. I think I will probably make beanies for the other boys as well. And I do like this yarn because it does have the wool in it. And I mean, they live in Michigan, so it gets cold there in the winter. And yeah, so I felt like, you know, like really proud of myself that I made this, even though it's just, you know, it's just a tube. It's just a tube, but I think it looks really good. Okay, so I made that, you know, I'm getting a jump on the Hanukkah presents early, right? All the kids have their birthdays in the fall and early winter or in Hudson's in October, and then the other kids are January, December and January. And so, and then Hanukkah. So I always feel like, all these presents at one time and I never know what to get. And I'm thinking this year I might just get like Amazon gift cards for their birthdays because they're teenagers and they probably prefer that anyway. But for Hanukkah, I think I'm making all, you know, winter wear gifts. Okay, so as I said though, I showed you last week that I made that big panel from the Big Twist Vortex yarn, and I was having trouble with, you know, the sides being messy and, you know, figuring out how to do a panel, and I feel like I cracked the code. I watched a couple videos, I figured out what I needed to do, and was able to make two perfect panels with perfect edges, no mess ups. I had a couple times where I had to catch a problem, but I did catch it and fixed it. So for those of you who do, you know, have a Sentro and I know somebody said they had one and it's been sitting in the box for 2 years and they're afraid to take it out. Take it out, play with it. It's fun. It isn't really that hard. I mean, you can get really, really fancy with it, you know, once you get proficient. I am definitely not at that point, but I did crack the code on doing the panels. So the thing is when you do the panels, there's two things that you need to do. One is you need to make sure, so, you know, doing panels, you've got your pins on either end. And the last pin, you need to make sure as that starts to come up that the loop of yarn is all the way down at the bottom, because it wants to come up, and if you let it stay up, that's when you get the tuck stitches and the drop stitches. You need that all the way down at the bottom. So basically I crank to the end, and then when I'm almost at that very end, I push that yarn down, and then you crank past the end, and there's like a little lip thing that the yarn goes over. So you need to make sure that it goes over that lip, you go past that, you come back, it goes back over that lip, and as soon as it comes over the lip again, you give your yarn a little tug. You just add a little tension, and then it tightens everything, and you end up with the kind of edge that you're supposed to have. So, I mean, how excited am I? I did one of these panels last Sunday, and I figured, you know, I like cracked the code, and then I like yesterday, I did the second panel. So that is what I'm planning on doing today, is I'm going to put these two panels together and see if I can make a top out of them. And then, you know, I need to crochet like the edging and stuff. So what my plan is, so I have these two long panels, right? So they're going to be stitched together, the front and back, up to like here, right? And then on the sides up to the armpit area. And then, so my intention is that the top will cross, right? So this would be down here and stitched up here, and then the tops will cross, and that will make like the shoulder and sleeve. And in my head, it will work. So, you know, hopefully it actually will. Then what I think I want to do is I need to do some kind of band at the bottom, maybe like a crocheted ribbing, because the bottom right now is the only live stitches. That's where, you know, these waist panels are. So that's, you know, that's only live stitches. The sides are secure. And then around like the armholes, and then, you know, the crossed parts, I think I want to do a like a picot edge. I think that would be cute. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know what it's gonna look like. I definitely have enough yarn. This is each one cake of the vortex, which of course is big twist, 100% acrylic. So this is not, unless Michael's, you know, starts making it again, this is not a color way we can get again. But I got 4 balls before Joann's went out of business, so, or 4 cakes. So I have 2 left because this is just 2 of them. So I have plenty to do all of the putting it together and all that kind of stuff. And each one of these is a full cake, so 328 yards. So I think it's gonna work. I mean, in my head, it's gonna work. I don't know, it could end up looking goofy. I'll probably wear it anyway. You'll know if I finished it, because if I finish it, I will probably wear it in my next video. But I mean, the yarn is really gorgeous. I think the panels are really pretty, and I'm hoping that I will be able to make a garment that's really pretty, and then, you know, I can figure out another one. Now, I also saw, these are kind of ideas. They weren't like fully formed, like this is the garment and this is how you make it. It was kind of like, you could kind of do something like this. So this one, my idea is to stitch up the middle and the, you know, the center seams in the front and back, and then cross the pieces. But you could also do one where it's just a complete like X and you sew up the sides, you know? So I might try something like that too. But I saw the kind of picture I saw of that one, it was a lot kind of like lacier. So it might look better with like a lighter weight. This is a 4. So I might want to try something like that with a 3. And I mean, I have a ton of mandala yarn and that's a 3. So that might look really good. You know, and I don't know about anything smaller than that. I don't think I have anything smaller than that. So, but it might be worth it to get a ball of a 2. Wait to see, you know, what it does. So yeah, so I'm excited that I, you know, like I said, I feel like I cracked the code on panels. I know how to sort of stop a drop stitch or a tuck stitch if I catch it right away. And yeah, so knock wood. That turns out and looks cute, and then I can go forward and do some more stuff. Yeah, okay, so I think that's it. So like as I said, the scarfy yarn made that hat. I really liked it, so I might get some more scarfy to make the other hats that I want to make, just because they're wool, and I think the acrylic and the wool will be nice as far as warmth on the hat. But that's not something I need to do right now. I mean, it's July. I don't need to make those hats right away. And I have so many different yarns that I want to experiment with, and you know, I like doing the process, but then, you know, what am I going to turn it into kind of thing. So Okay. Haul. As I said, I got this little yarn winder. It's fun to do. Delilah likes watching me wind the yarn. She sometimes wants to attack it, but for the most part, she's good. Again, it doesn't make really big balls, so it, you know, it has its limitations, but it was also inexpensive. And then I also got my Just CrossStitch Halloween magazine in the mail. I never got the summer. I may just have to buy it. You know, I told them I didn't get it, and they supposedly sent it out, and I still never got it, and I kind of gave up. But there's lots of cute things in here, as always. I think one of my favorites, and you know how sometimes a pattern will just like, you'll just get drawn to it even though it may not be your style or your whatever. I just think this guy is adorable. I don't know if I'll ever stitch him, but I just really love him. I don't even know, is he a toad? Is he a goblin? I'm not even sure what he is, but he's super, super cute, and I really like him. So, it's called Witch's Helper by Lina Ova of X-Free Stitch. But I really like that one, and there's a skeleton couple that is really beautiful. I would really probably never stitch it. I just don't have any reason to stitch that, but I think it's really pretty, especially if you are coupled up and kind of like the macabre. It kind of reminds me of, she looks like the Corpse Bride, kind of like, it's called Endless Love. And there's one other. There's a couple pumpkin ones that are really cute. I think I'm drawn more to the, like this, what do they call it? The spoopy instead of spooky. That's Goofy Gourds. And then I like this Sit for a Spell too, with the froggy. So, just CrossStitch magazine, I always like it. I am kind of bummed I didn't get the summer, but plans for the rest of the day, I'm going to be working on that vortex top. I want to see the vision completed. I'm a little bit nervous about the bottom band because that's where the life stitches are, and I don't want to drop them. So I'm going to have to like really look at something online and figure out how to, you know, maybe I'll do like a single crochet all the way around once I get it, you know, hooked together, just so that they're not life stitches anymore. And then I can do the ribbing, which I've never done before, but I'm assuming it's just like back stitch, like you just stitch in the back stitches, because that's kind of what I did for this. It was all stitching in the back stitches, and it, you know, this one goes horizontally, but I mean that's the same thing, right? That's ribbing. So anyway, oh, and then you know what, I started a new thing and I forgot to bring it over here, so I'll have to show it to you next week. The sleeves that I showed you last week, that I finished them a long time ago as like a little wrap, but then I turned them into sleeves. I started another one of those for my friend at work. Yeah, and I worked on that a couple days. So I had seven like single balls of, or cakes of mandala that were different color schemes. And I sent her pictures of all of them. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, it's the last one. She's going to pick the last one. That's what she picked. Of course. I knew. But I gave her the choice, and now I know for sure that that's the one she wants. So yeah, that's about it. I'm so upset with myself that I clicked the wrong button when I put it on pause and I stopped the video, and so now I have to put two pieces together, which always takes longer. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great day, a great rest of your week. I hope that you're feeling good. I'm feeling okay. I was a little bit low this morning, but I slept in, so when I woke up I was like, oh, I need to eat breakfast kind of right now. But I'm feeling okay now. So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to be very vigilant and aware of what my body's doing, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, and then I have 3 weeks until my birthday. I guess I was already officially senior citizen. What, you're senior citizen at 55 according to AARP, but yeah, I'm hitting the big 6-0. And that just feels really weird. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great week, a great 1st of August. I hope the weather is acceptable where you are. And until I see you again, please remember to be content, be kind, and be crafty. This is Karla. Bye-bye.